Okay, so this is going to be a kind of a long story. Quite an interesting one, though. It's worth listening to. How the plot thickens on the RV getting impounded. The parking enforcement, I thought the cops impounded it. It wasn't. It was parking enforcement pretending to be police. And you might ask yourself, oh, well, shit. Parking enforcement is part of the police department, right? It is. It is part of the police department, but they are not police. This parking enforcement agent pretended to be a police officer so that the police wouldn't be called when they were unlawfully towing the RV. Okay, right? Follow me along. It gets better. So a week prior to getting the RV impounded, parking enforcement wanted the RV gone. They wanted it off the street. People were complaining, but people complain wherever you park in San Diego. It doesn't really matter. Well, we weren't in violation of any laws, so I was like, whatever, right? The 72-hour law states that you have to move the vehicle every 72 hours, at least 1/10 of a mile, or some people say now it's 1/2 of a mile. Whatever, okay? But just so long as you move the vehicle a little bit, you're fine. It doesn't say anything about you can't repark it. That's all it says, just to remove the vehicle. To move the vehicle. And so that's what I did. And I would just repark it in the same spot. Now, they would chalk the tires, and you could see the tire marks, right? So you couldn't really park in the identical same spot, right? Like, I mean, if you did, the alignment on your tire wouldn't match up anyway. Most likely. It'd be very hard to, right? Like, it'd be a difficult thing to do. Anyway, so that's what I did. Well, the park enforcement guy came out, and he wanted to tow the RV. This is before it got impounded, a week before it got impounded. And he had a cop with him, a real cop. And he was trying to impound it because the tags are expired. They're not expired, they're incomplete because I haven't done smog yet, whatever. So he's like trying to tell the cop to impound the car. He's trying to impound the RV, and he can't because the tags in San Diego, the tags have to be expired. Registration has to be expired by 6 months before you can impound it. So the RV's tags were 4 months. So, we're still good on that. And the dude, he got pissed because the cop was kind of like, he's got DMV papers here. He just paid this registration like a month ago, blah, blah, blah. Just, you can't impound the car. The RV is basically what he told the guy. And the guy, his name was Hartman, parking enforcement Hartman. He was giving me a hard time, and he was like trying to be all tough, all 5 feet of him. He's like 5 feet tall and like 5 feet wide. And he was like, he's trying to pretend like he's a cop, and he's trying to like impress the cop, the real cop. And he was trying to talk to me like a cop and like get all authoritative in my face and shit kind of type shit, and be like, oh, who owns this there, and all that shit. And I was just like, dude, whatever. And he's like, if this thing is still here in 2 days, I'm gonna have you towed. Like, on what grounds? He's like, registration has been incomplete or invalid for over a year. I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I just showed you the DMV papers. Anyway, I got into it with him, and I called him Officer Cartman, like South Park. Respect my authority, because he looks like an adult version of Cartman, his short, bad guy. And anyway, he got kind of pissy about it. He said the same thing again. If you're here in a couple of days, I'm going to have you impounded. And I was just like, whatever, Cartman. Well, he did follow through with that. But, so what he did, talked to his other parking enforcement buddies, right? The cop basically told him, like, you can't do this, right? So what he did is 5 days go by. All of a sudden, knock on the door. San Diego police, right? So go out there, and he's like, step out of the RV, and he's dressed like San Diego. I thought it was police because he's dressed like a San Diego police uniform, basically like almost like a SWAT team thing, and he's got like a what do you call them, body cam on and shit. So I step out, and he's like, well, blah blah blah. We're here to tell you're impound your RV. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? For what? He's like, 72-hour law, you haven't moved this vehicle. And that's when this video that I've already posted, you see a lot, which I'll post after this, I guess. And I'll go over there and I start talking to him like, hey, dude, these marks aren't even close to being aligned. And he gets all mad and shit. And he's just like, it hasn't been moved. You just can't push it forward a few inches and say it's moved. I said, what are you talking about, pushing it forward a few inches? I'm like, the alignment marks don't even line up like that. If I pushed it forward, the alignment marks would both be behind the tire. If I push them backwards, it'd be both in front of the tire. This is like opposite directions, and it's like not even touching the alignment mark anymore. And he's like, I'm like, well, why don't I just move it? I'll just move it, okay? If that's a big deal, right? It's like, it's too late. Tow company's already been called. I'm like, it's not too late. What? It's not written in stone. You can move this. You know, you can undo this. And I kept telling the guy, dude, you're making a mistake. This is wrong. You know you can't impound this vehicle. Come to find out, since he made contact with me, he had to let me move it. You can't impound it. 2, if it's been moved in any direction, right? Any amount of space, any amount of distance, according to law, you cannot impound the vehicle. You can only cite it. So boom, two reasons why he couldn't do that, but he did. And also, he pretended to be a cop because he knew that if the cops were really there, it wouldn't get impounded. Nothing would happen. And he knew that if I thought he was a cop, why would I bother calling the cops, right? Because why would I call the cops and say, hey, somebody's impounding my vehicle when the cop's already there? That's why he pretended to be a cop, which is a huge fucking no-no, right? He was dressed like a cop. He introduced himself by knocking on the door saying, San Diego Police. He ordered me to get out of the RV, right? Just like a cop. And he even said while we were outside there, you know, he goes, I'm just here to make sure that the RV gets impounded without any incident, like a cop would say, because there's another parking enforcement guy there dressed like a parking enforcement guy, which come to find out, that guy didn't even write the ticket. The guy that I'm talking to, who's pretending to be a cop, actually wrote the ticket. So that guy was just for show. And also, he was driving a truck that said San Diego Police, as a pickup truck. It said San Diego Police on it. There's no reason why he had a service belt on, like a service duty belt on, like the cops do, with no gun though. You know, what else did he have? Yeah, I mean, he was clearly trying to be a cop. So he does impound the vehicle, right? After, you know, I spent 4 minutes, you know, telling him how he can't and showing him the evidence, which is undeniable, right? Like when you see the video, it's undeniable that he did this not only unjustly, but with malice. Okay, so here's the deal. We go to the impound thing, get the RV out, $850 later. Well, there's something called a post-storage hearing that you can do, and they determine if your car was legally impounded, right? Did that, right? It was determined that the RV was not legally impounded. So basically, that it was an invalid tow is what they call it. So they had no reason to tow us. And so basically, they're going to reimburse the money. But here's the kicker on that. It takes up to a year for them to do that. So out $850, right? And who knows when we get back. So I'm going to file, basically, for civil rights violation. I've already filed complaints with Internal Affairs to do an investigation. That's why I found out the guy wasn't a cop, that he was just parking enforcement. Internal Affairs was like, this guy's not even a cop. I'm like, oh, really? That changes things. So, yeah, I'm basically going to sue the shit out of the city for as much money as I fucking possibly can. I'm looking for a lawyer right now to help me do it because I have a clear, easy case. The tow's been deemed invalid, so he impounded it for no reason, and I got 4 minutes of video of me explaining to him and telling him why he can't impound this vehicle. And in addition, there's other reasons why he couldn't impound the vehicle that I didn't even know of, that he violated, and the guy's pretending to be a cop. So that he has some sort of authority, because he wouldn't be able to tell me if I didn't get out of the RV. But I got out of the RV because I thought he was a cop. If I would have known his parking enforcement, I would have told him to fuck off. You know, go call the cops. Which he didn't want, because that's why he's dressed like a cop. So I wouldn't call the cops. So it was a big fucking, kind of a conspiracy. The guy wanted us off that fucking street. He knew I wasn't going to leave until I was ready. And he forced me off the street because I called his buddy, the other parking enforcement guy, a week before that, Cartman. And I basically told him to fuck off, you know, in front of another cop, which embarrassed the shit out of him. And I basically pawned his ass, right? Because I knew my rights. I know my rights. Yeah, but no, so that's what happened. And so that's why the RV got impounded. That's why they show up a week later. One of them dressed like a cop that I've never seen before. So I assumed he was a cop. I should have known better when I stepped out of the RV, you know, and stepped on the ground with him. And he's like 5'5". I was like, kind of short for a little Mexican cop. But anyway, he wasn't a cop. He's parking enforcement. That guy, I'm going to get that motherfucker's job if I can. This guy, this is like a criminal thing. You can't impersonate police officers to wrongfully and illegally impound vehicles because somebody called your buddy Cartman. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. It's just that there's so many wrong things with that. It costs $850. I won't even, who knows when I'll see that money. I can sue him in small claims court right now for 4 times the amount of the impound fees. So for $3,600, that's not even close to the amount of money I want from this guy. I'm thinking close to 6 figures for this shit. So I'm just going to get a lawyer. I'm not even going to fuck with the small claims court because I don't want that to ruin my chance to be able to sue them later, which I probably would. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do, and yeah, that's the whole story. Can't believe it. Parking enforcement pretending to be a police to wrongfully and illegally impound your vehicle. That's some fucked up shit.